In the budget category of keyboards, this is one that I feel is a very good contender. In terms of aesthetics, it has features you don't get to see on many keyboards. This is the Epomaker G84, an 80% gasket-mounted mechanical keyboard with angles and edges I would call minimalist and sharp. Hi, this is Daniel with the Biboyharanero team. I review everything from keyboards, mice, microphones, basically anything tech related to PC setups. Subscribe so you're always updated with new releases like this one. Anyhow, back to the G84. This is very similar to an 87-key TKL keyboard but without the very last column, saving about half an inch more horizontal space. This is a tri-mode mechanical keyboard, so it connects via wired USB-C, 2.4G dongle, and Bluetooth, all powered by a 4000 mAh battery pack. There's no knob, no screen, just straightforward keyboard buttons. Now I used this for gaming for quite a while as it looks so good on my desk, and overall, it performed as expected. No delays, no interferences, no issues so far. This features 1000 Hz polling rate and NKRO, so you can type with all 10 fingers and all 10 toes without interference. The switches that we have here are the Epomaker transparent switches that require 37 grams of actuation force. I will go over the switches in more detail later on. In the event that you don't like the switches, freely replace them as this has a south-facing universal hot swap PCB. This is also VIA compatible, so you don't need to download any other software online. Plus, VIA is complete with key binding features, macro recording, and LED customization. VIA is also accessible through the web, so you don't need to download the desktop app version. The box includes the keyboard, cable, key puller combo, documentation, extra switches, and a dust cover. Leave the dust cover on when you're not using the keyboard to avoid any dust buildup. Then, thank me later, brother. The cable is braided, which I personally think is a step up above plastic-coated cables. The housing is completely made of plastic, but it's not the kind that feels cheap. Tapping on the keyboard, there's very little hollowness or echo sounds produced. This is all thanks to all the layers of dampers inside, which includes a pour-on sandwich foam, IXP switch pad, PET anti-static film, more foam, and a silicone bottom pad. Silicone is very dense and heavy, adding to so much more shock absorption and weight. Underneath the keyboard, you will find anti-slip pads and a pair of 2-level kick-up feet. In one of the kick-up feet, you will find the dongle storage port. Then on the top side of the keyboard, you will find the OS switch, connectivity switch, and USB-C input. Overall, the build was satisfactory and I have no issues with it. Aside from a small nitpick regarding the gaskets, they feel really stiff and I don't feel the bounce as much. The keycaps are shine-through double-shot PBT keycaps in cherry profile. For those new to keyboards, cherry profile is one of the most widely used keycap profile due to its low keycap height. Now let's go over its stabilizers. They're tightly placed on the plate and they do not wobble a lot. Very good build for the stabilizers. They too are pre-lubricated. However, the lubrication used here is a bit thin and light. So I would add more dielectric grease as it is thicker and would add more smoothness with less rattling. Onto the switches, you get transparent switches from Epomaker. These have 37 gram springs inside, which I think is perfect for gaming. Some typists are accustomed to ultralight switches like the ones that we have here. However, if typing is what you're going to use your keyboard for mainly, I would advise you get switches with at least 45 grams of actuation force. Because in my experience, 45 gram springs and any springs heavier than that help me type more accurately. 40 gram springs and below help me game with overall less fatigue on my fingers with faster responses. And if I had to guess, the switches here are completely made of polycarbonate, and considering the nature of PC, this sounds clacky. But when paired with the polycarbonate positioning plate and a stiff gasket mounted structure, here is how they sound on the Epomaker G84. This is offered in 3 colorways. You get black, white, and pink. You get a masculine color, a neutral one, and a feminine colorway for girls and gay boys. The body of the keyboard is very edgy and has an angle to the front side, which makes it look very action-like and sharp, for lack of better word. You get no light indicators anywhere, however, caps lock and win lock lights a static white when activated. Speaking of light, this has a light bar right underneath the branding, just above the arrow keys. The light bar is customizable by pressing the function key and end key. And before I forget to mention, the branding on top of this light is made of brushed aluminum, which adds to the the overall aesthetic of the keyboard. Anyhow, back to LEDs. By pressing the function key and backspace, you can cycle through the RGB modes of the function keys. This too has side lights, by the way. And by pressing the function key and delete, you get to cycle through the RGB modes of the side lights as well. Overall, I think the RGB shines pretty brightly. And I would also give credit to the transparent switches for allowing light to pass through effortlessly. However, I have one nitpick with this keyboard's aesthetics. The keycaps are shine-through keycaps with legends on top. The legends would shine brighter had this been paired with a north-facing PCB, maybe in the next refresh. It's very sleek, very gamery, and with all the lights, this could make any setup stand out. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. I will leave links on where to get your G84 down in the description. This is Daniel with the Biboyharanero team. I'll see you guys again next time. Do not subscribe. Just kidding. Subscribe, please.